Hello everyone, welcome to the Morrowind Book Club. Last time we read A Brief History of the Empire, Volume 1. And today we're going to read this other book over here, Biography... No, we're going to read the second one. We're going to read The Brief History of the Empire, Volume 2. I don't know what I was thinking there. I was like, I'm going to fool them when I'm likely going to have the actual title, you know, in the title of the video, and everyone's just gonna be like, you just wasted our time, like I am right now. So let's dive into things, shall we? All right, A Brief History of the Empire, Part 2 by Stronark Cathaj III, Imperial Historian. Volume 1 of this series described in brief the lives of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with the glorious Tiber Septim and ending with his great-great-great-great-grandniece, Kintira II. Kintira's murder in Glenpoint while in captivity is considered by some to be the end of the pure strain of Septim blood in the imperial family. Certainly, it marks the end of something significant. Uriel III not only proclaimed himself Emperor of Tamriel, but also Uriel Septim III, taking the eminent surname as a title. Okay, sorry, I had to go back and reread that just to sort of piece together. So Septim he took as a title? In truth, his surname was, Mantiarco, from his father's line. If I would have kept reading, it would have become very clear very quickly. In time, Uriel III was deposed and his crimes reviled. But the tradition of taking the name Septim as a title for the Emperor of Tamriel did not die with him. Oh, well, that is interesting. For 6 years, the War of the Red Diamond, which takes its name from the Septim family's famous badge, tore the empire apart. The combatants were the 3 surviving children of Pelagius II, Potima, Sepphoris, and Magnus and their various offspring. Potima, of course, supported her son Uriel III and had combined support of all of Skyrim and northern Morrowind. With the efforts of Sepphoris and Magnus, however, the province of High Rock turned coat. The provinces of Hammerfell, Somerset Isle, Valenwood, Elsewhere, and Black Marsh were divided in their loyalty, but most kings supported Sepphoris and Magnus. In the Third Era, 127, Uriel III was captured at the Battle of Ichidag in Hammerfell. En route to his trial in the Imperial City, a mob overtook his prisoner's carriage and burned him alive within it. Ouch. See, I was talking about this last time. I was like, you know, all these stories about like kings and queens and emperors and all that stuff, they're always really dark and like tragic and stuff, and here we have it. It's always very, very savage. His captor and uncle continued on to the Imperial City, and by common acclaim was proclaimed Sepphoris I, Emperor of Tamriel. You know, actually, if I was just thinking about it, it's just human nature in general, because I'm like, the modern world's not that bad. Yeah, well, it depends on where in the world you are, so, like, let's not try acting like just because we're in the modern world, we're above that. Now, the world is metal. The world sucks. Anyways, Sepphoris' reign was marked by nothing but war. See, war. By all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. Oh, okay, I did not see that coming. When it was like, they switched it up. They tricked me. You know, by all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. You tricked me, book. You tricked me. It took an additional 10 years of constant warfare for him to defeat his sister Potima, the so-called Wolf Queen. I knew the name from somewhere. I was like, Potima, that sounds so familiar. The Wolf Queen. We did read something about the Wolf Queen. I don't remember if that was in Morrowind or if that was in Daggerfall, but we did read about the Wolf Queen at some point. Anyway, sorry. The so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, who died in the siege of her city-state in the year 137. Sepphoris survived his sister by only 3 years. He never had time during the war years to marry, so it was his brother, the 4th child of Pelagius II, who assumed the throne. The Emperor Magnus was already elderly when he took up the imperial diadem, and the business of punishing the traitorous kings of the War of the Red Diamond drained much of his remaining strength. Legend accuses Magnus' son and heir Pelagius III of patricide, but that seems highly unlikely, for no other reason than that Pelagius was king of solitude following the death of Potema and seldom visited the imperial city. Pelagius III, sometimes called Pelagius the Mad, I've heard that title before, was proclaimed emperor in the 145th year of the Third Era. Almost from the start, his eccentricities of behavior were noted at court. He embarrassed dignitaries, offended his vassal kings, and on one occasion marked the end of an imperial grand ball by attempting to hang himself. His long-suffering wife was finally awarded the regency of Tamriel, and Pelagius III was sent to a series of healing institutions and asylums until his death in Third Era 153, at the age of 34. I was trying to do a little bit of math. I'm like, okay, he was proclaimed emperor in the 145th, and then he died in 153. So that's what, 8 years? So, I don't know how long he was in asylums and stuff. So 34, so he would have been proclaimed emperor at what? 20, my brain went blank, 26? Yes, I think, whatever, not important. The Empress Regent of Tamriel was proclaimed Empress Katiara the First upon the death of her husband. Some who do not mark the end of the Septim bloodline with the death of Kintira II consider the ascendancy of this dark elf woman the true mark of its decline. Her defenders, on the other hand, assert that though Kataria, was not descended from Tiber, the son she had with Pelagius was. So the imperial chain did continue. Despite racist assertions to the contrary, Kataria, I feel like I've read that differently each time. Okay, Kataria's 46-year reign was one of the most celebrated in Tamriel's history. Uncomfortable in the imperial city, Kataria traveled extensively throughout the empire, such as no emperor ever had since Tiber's day. She repaired much of the damage that previous emperors' broken alliances and bungled diplomacy created. The people of Tamriel came to love their empress far more than the nobility did. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this one. Kataria, yes. Kataria's death in a minor skirmish in Black Marsh is a favorite subject of conspiracy-minded historians. The sage, Montalius' discovery, for instance, of a disenfranchised branch of the Septim family and their involvement with the skirmish was a revelation indeed. Of course, yeah, the people liked her because she was probably, a decent leader. But when power gets, this corrupt little claws into something, yeah, stuff happens. When Cassindir assumed the throne upon the death of his mother, he was already middle-aged. Only half-elven, he aged like a Breton. In fact, he had left the rule of Wayrest to his half-brother Uriel. There's another Uriel, due to poor health. Nevertheless, as the only true blood relation to of Pelagius, and thus Tiber, he was pressed into accepting the throne. To no one's surprise, the Emperor Cassindir's reign did not last long. In 2 years, he joined his predecessors in eternal slumber. Uriel Lariat, Cassindir's half-brother and the child of Kataria I and her imperial consort, Galavir Lariat, after the death of Pelagius III, left the kingdom of Wayrest to reign as Uriel IV. Legally, Uriel IV was a septim. Cassindir had adopted him into the royal family when he had become king of Wayrest. Nevertheless, to the council and to the people of Tamriel, he was a bastard child of Kataria. Uriel did not possess the dynamism of his mother, and his long 43-year reign was a hotbed of sedition. Uriel IV's story is told in the 3rd volume of the series. Wow, he gets a whole volume. Interesting. Well, if you liked The Brief History of the Empire Volume 2, I did actually, but I'm not going to give my own video a thumbs up because that'd be lame. But you can, if you liked it, you just go ahead and be like, yeah, thumbs up. Or if you didn't like it, you can go ahead and say, thumbs down, like, no, stop it. It was awful. yeah, you can go ahead and do that too. Yeah, next time we're gonna go ahead and hear about Uriel IV in the Brief History of the Empire, Volume 3. But until that time, I would like to ask you all to game on.